Using DaVinci Resolve, I'll show you how to zoom in on a particular spot, then pan to a different spot, pan and zoom to another spot, then zoom all the way out. I'll also go over how to easily refine and adjust the sequence once it's complete. Zooming and panning is animation, so keyframes are needed. We'll need keyframes at the points in the timeline where the first zoom begins and ends, then keyframes where the first pan begins and ends, keyframes where the zoom and pan begins and ends, and finally we'll need keyframes where the final zoom all the way out begins and ends. Let's get to it. Here I am on the edit page of DaVinci Resolve. The clip I'll be using is already on the timeline. I'll press the Q key to activate the timeline viewer. You can tell it's activated because its title is red. I'll enable single viewer mode by clicking this icon up on the toolbar in the upper right of the screen. The first step is to decide where the first zoom will begin. The playhead is at the beginning of the clip, so I'll press the spacebar to start playing the clip and press it again to stop where I want to start zooming in. There. Now I need to add keyframes to tell Resolve this is where our zoom begins. I'll open the inspector by clicking on Inspector in the upper right of the screen. At the top of the inspector under Transform, there are Zoom X and Y and Position X and Y. These are the two coordinate pairs we'll be using throughout. I'll click the diamond to the right of each to add two keyframes. We're basically telling Resolve that our zoom, or more precisely our animation, begins at these coordinates in the current frame, which is the frame at the playhead position. I'll press the spacebar to continue playing the clip and stop where I want the zoom to end. We need to add keyframes again to tell Resolve this is where our zoom ends. Again, I'll click the diamonds to the right of Zoom X and Y and Position X and Y. This time I need to adjust the zoom and position coordinates. I'll do that by clicking on the Zoom X field and click dragging to the right to zoom in. That's as far as I want to go. The Zoom X and Y fields are linked, as indicated by this white link icon, so adjusting X automatically adjusts Y. To unlink the fields, just click on the icon to gray it out. I'm zooming in on the rock at the bottom of the timeline viewer. I want it to be centered into screen, so I'll click drag the Position Y field to the right to bring the rock into the middle of the screen. And I'll click drag the Position X field to the left to center it. And that's it, our first zoom is complete. On the bottom right of the current clip, a diamond icon has been added. I'll click on it to reveal the keyframes. There's the two keyframes I added. I'm going to play the clip back. Notice how the zoom will begin when the playhead passes the first keyframe and end when it passes the second keyframe. Now for the pan. I'll play the clip and stop it where I want it to start. For the pan, the current zoom level will remain the same. That's to say, I won't be zooming in or out. That means I won't be changing the Zoom X and Y coordinate pair, so I don't need to add a keyframe for it. But I will be changing the Position X and Y pair, so I do need to add a keyframe for it. I'll click on the diamond icon to do that. By the way, to remove a keyframe, just click on the diamond icon again to gray it out. I'll end the pan 15 frames from the current playhead position. I'll tap the right arrow key 15 times to move ahead 15 frames. I need to add another keyframe here. I want to pan to the right to a small tree, so I'll click drag the Position X field to the left. Now I'll click drag the Y field to the left to place the tree in the middle of the frame. That's it, the pan is done. I'll play the whole clip up to now back. Again, notice how things start happening as the playhead passes each keyframe. There's the zoom in, And there's the pan. I'll pick a spot to start the pan and zoom. Okay, now which coordinate pairs do I need to keyframe? I'll be changing the zoom level because I'll be zooming further in and I'll be panning. So keyframes are needed for both zoom x and y and position x and y coordinate pairs because both will need to be changed to accomplish the pan and zoom. I'll keyframe both pairs. I'll play the clip to where I want the pan and zoom to end. I'll keyframe both pairs again to mark the end of the animation. I want to zoom in on a cloud on the horizon. First, I'll pan to the left by click dragging the position X field to the right to get the cloud into the middle of the frame. Now I'll adjust the zoom X field by click dragging to the right to zoom in. I'll click drag the position X field to the left to center the cloud. That's complete. I'll play it back. Okay, cool. Now for the zoom all the way out. I'll pick a spot to start that. So which coordinate pairs will I need to keyframe this time? We're going right back out to the default position, to where we were when we started. We have zoomed and panned, and both the zoom and position coordinate pairs have different values from when we started. So we'll need to keyframe both, since both will have to change to make the zoom all the way out happen. I'll add the keyframes. I'll pick a spot where the zoom out ends. I'll keyframe both again. To zoom all the way out, I just have to type in the default values for both pairs. I'll double-click on the Zoom X field to select the existing value, type in 1, and press the Tab key. I'll type in 0 for both position X and Y fields and press Enter or Return for each field. We're all the way back out. I'll play it back to see how it looks. Great. I'll play the whole sequence, and again, notice how things start happening as the playhead passes each keyframe in the timeline. There's the first zoom. Now the pan. The zoom and pan. And the final zoom all the way out. Now that it's complete, you may want to make some refinements and adjustments. Fortunately, that's pretty easy to do. It's easiest to work with the keyframes on the timeline. They're already visible, but just as a reminder, you can toggle their visibility by clicking this tiny diamond icon at the bottom right of the clip. Let's say I want to execute the first pan a bit sooner after the first zoom. First, I'll make sure selection mode is enabled by clicking the arrow in the timeline toolbar. It should be red. Selection mode can also be enabled by pressing A. Now I'll click drag across the two keyframes for the pan to select them. They're now red to indicate that they're selected. I'll just click drag on one of the keyframes and move it to the left. The keyframes will move in tandem. I'll play the clip back, and now the pan happens sooner. I can lengthen the pan, that is, make the pan slower, by extending the distance between the two keyframes. First, I'll deselect the pair by clicking away from the keyframes. Now I'll drag the rightmost keyframe to the right, increasing the gap between the two. When I play the pan back, it happens more slowly. The entire sequence can be moved. Just select it with the mouse as before. Holding down the Command key, Control key in Windows, click drag on any keyframe to reposition the entire sequence. To temporarily disable the entire sequence so there's no panning or zooming, click on the white dot to the left of Transform at the bottom of the clip. You can also adjust how the zooms and pans speed up and slow down. I'll position the playhead over the second keyframe where the first zoom ends. In the inspector, right-clicking on the Zoom X and Y keyframe, I'll select Ease In. I'll play the zoom back. Notice the extra movement at the end of the zoom and how the slowdown is more pronounced. I'll click the left arrow to the left of the Zoom X and Y keyframe a couple of times to navigate to the first keyframe. I'll right-click on the keyframe and select Ease Out. I'll play it back. Oh no, did you see that? The bottom of the frame jumped up. I'll play it again. Keep your eye on the bottom of the frame. This sometimes happens with Ease Out depending on where you are in the frame. To fix it, use Linear or Ease In instead. Experiment on your own with Ease In, Ease Out, and Ease In and Out for your pan and zoom sequences to see how they work. I hope you found this helpful. Thanks for watching.